lot of people don't even know this, but Portugal was the first country in the history of the world to abolish slavery. First country. Also the ones who invented it. But,
So, Andrè Freitas, you are from Portugal,
I am.
and you started stand-up when?
So I first did stand-up in Portuguese when I was about 18.
Okay.
And then I did it a few times. I say my official start was when I was 21, moved to London, and that's when I really started doing comedy.
Okay. And how old are you now?
28.
You've been doing it for a decade, approximately.
Well, I say 7 years because if you're doing comedy once every 6 months, you're not really doing comedy.
True. Yeah.
When I started doing really 2-3 mics a week and stuff, it was when I moved to London. So 7 years, let's say.
Yeah. So you just won a prize, award in Australia.
Best new international act. That's
The
right.
new international. What does that mean for you to win that prize?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I. I think it's just another thing to. It's just another promotional tool.
Yeah.
It's just another thing that you can tell to industry
Yeah.
that, hey, look, I won a thing and people like me. And then it's also maybe another thing that you can put on a poster that if someone doesn't know me and is maybe indecisive between coming to see the show or not, maybe seeing that I won something will push them to come.
Yeah. But you are probably the most successful Portuguese comedian, international comedian. Would you agree with that? Like, I don't know so many Portugal international comedian, but I know that you've done a lot.
Yeah, I would, but not much competition. I think a few people started out after me, so yeah, I would humbly say so.
Yes. I remember last time we were at Selva, it was the second time I met you, I think. Then you parked your car right outside of Selva, and I thought that when this guy gets super famous, he's going to be a delight because it was such a diva move to do it. I love like things like that.
That I've like vlogged the garage.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've been at Selva so much that I know nobody uses that garage at that time.
Yeah, but I loved it.
And it's so hard to park there.
Yeah.
And I'm there. If someone honks, I can just hear it and move my car.
Yeah, go from the stage.
But
and
you
move it.
thought it was like a fucking big dick move.
Yeah, I thought that. But I thought in a very good way. I like this guy. This is the persona I like really comedian diva all the way. I really loved it. You have played a very big part in the English Lisbon scene comedy. How did that start? How did you start out doing it in English versus just doing it in Portuguese?
Obviously, I lived in London, so
Yeah.
I was doing it in English a lot.
Before Portuguese?
No, so I started in Portuguese,
True, yeah.
did a couple of gigs, not much, like I said, and then at 21 moved to England, and that's when I really kind of started doing it. And I completely separated myself from the Portuguese thing. I really wanted to start just fresh.
Yeah.
And then one day I had the sort of opportunity to open for an American comedian called Jim Gaffigan.
Yes.
And I came here to do that, and at that time I discovered that some very small shows had just started happening in Lisbon in English. So I believe it had been 2 shows maybe.
Yeah.
This was Ash's shows that was at Teatro da Trindade, at that little downstairs room.
Yeah.
And so I think that'd been 2. And then I came and I headlined one. And then at that time, because of the Jim Gaffigan thing, I was getting some buzz here. I was getting a lot of press in Portugal, and I thought, well, maybe it'll be a good time to come spend some time in Portugal. And I really wanted to keep doing stand-up in English, but because there was nothing, I sort of tried to encourage Ash to, let's put on more stuff.
Yeah.
So then we had an open mic, which was in Andrè. That open mic was packed, packed. Like every show was packed. We were like, well, let's start putting on some like paid shows. So we started doing that. So that was at that venue before we got eventually kicked out because the laughs were too loud and started bothering the theater people. But there was no comedians, like comedians who could perform.
Yeah.
People buying a ticket, and it's like there's maybe 3 people. So there was Ash, who just started. He wasn't really doing comedy.
Yeah.
You're sort of producing, kind of emceeing, dipping his toe. and then me doing comedy, and then there was a couple of Portuguese comedians that we kind of convinced to start doing it in English. A lot of times what happened is we'd have a sold out show, and then one of the comedians would be like, I can't make it tonight. And there's like no backups.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's been many times where I thought I'm gonna have to put on a wig and do two sets.
Yeah.
So then we started kind of growing it, and then I thought, well, you know, Lisbon's so international. I really believe that there's a market here. There's demand. No big international acts were coming. Like Jim Gaffigan came, but he was sort of one of the first ones. And then that's kind of how I found out about that this is happening. But this was tiny, like 2 shows in, and then I said to Ash, come on, buddy, let's do some stuff. And then we started doing it, and then eventually it wasn't really manageable to just us doing the shows. If it's an open mic, fine, because it doesn't matter. And then you'd have a couple of people like, I remember Francesco, who now lives here, came to a couple of open mics then. He wasn't living here yet, he just came for work. And then people, they were just kind of stopping by. I started calling up my friends from London, saying, you want to come over and perform here and stuff. So we brought over a couple of people. And then this was also all of this was in a really short amount of space, because then the pandemic happened and then it all closed. So I'm talking like 6 months,
Yeah.
maybe less.
At this time, like, or now even, do you do stand up in Portuguese?
If they pay me well, I do.
Yeah.
No, I don't. So I do projects in Portuguese, like I have a comedy therapy project.
Yes, with David Cristina and some.
With Christina and a few other people. I have a podcast with my friend Vasco Elvas, also in Portuguese. But stand-up, I really focus my time and energy in English.
Yeah.
Just because where I make my money is on the road mostly. So I make my money from touring. For me, it just seems right now a better use of where I'm at.
Yeah.
To do it in English, especially at the moment because I'm preparing to go to the Fringe and all of these things. So yeah, so I don't do it as much, but for the right price, I'll do anything.
Coming back now you've been back for some days and you see the scene now versus how you saw the scene before. Like, it was very young, but when you come back and see it now, what do you feel about the scene? Do you feel like that's something part of you, or how do you feel about the English scene?
Are you asking me if I feel like ownership over it?
Ownership, yes.
I don't feel ownership, but I also don't know if people sort of are aware of that role I played or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'm not so present nowadays.
Yeah.
I do feel, and I do tell people abroad that I'm like, quite proudly that I helped start whatever little that we've got now, but it's certainly growing. So I feel a sort of pride as like a young father.
Yeah.
It's cool to feel that you had a positive impact on something. So I definitely feel that. So it was me and Ash at the time. There was nobody. And as it continues to grow, you know, maybe one day it'll grow so big that I'll be like, I started this whole thing, yeah! I just feel very happy to see more people coming in and that it's growing and that it's kind of producing. Because for me, starting out, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. There was no options. That's why I left to London. I couldn't get up. I couldn't work. It's like a jail.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. So now, at least I feel like you can come here and you can get up and you can sort of work out material, and then you can. So there's so much more than there was, and I think that's great. So I feel very happy about it.
When people travel outside of Lisboa, they will refer to you as like they were from the scene that people have heard about you outside of Lisboa and the scenes, and they will probably refer to you because when you said Jim Gaffigan, I wanted to say that the school that I went to in New York, he was one of the first people that went to that school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was like my spontaneous reaction. That probably will be the reaction people have to your name too about the English Lisbon scene.
Yeah, I think for better or worse, if you go abroad and you say Portugal, people will go Andrè de Freitas.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I think that's a good thing, and I'm hoping at least that I'm being a good ambassador.
Yeah.
For the country and for the city and for whatever's happening. Even for example, like I put on some solo shows in Porto. Those are the first English shows as well to happen there. So and now I think there's like a sort of more regular thing happening there. So it's kind of slowly growing. I feel this sort of weird thing as being a Portuguese, because the Portuguese have all this past about being explorers and all whatever. I feel, you know, when I go abroad, that I'm sort of, you know, I'm the flag carrying,
Like Columbus kind of.
a sort of
Yeah.
Columbus of comedy, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, I can understand that. What would you say that stand-up has given you, like in your life?
Oh mate, it's given me the opportunity to travel.
Yeah.
It's given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. It's given me so many experiences. It's given me a goal. It's given me a path. It's given me drive. It's given me a reason to get up in the morning. Some of the best sort of adrenaline, like, you know, that I've ever had in my life. It's given me some of my best friends. I mean, my life would be very, very different if stand-up was not in it.
Yeah. If you could be in Portugal and be like, earn a lot of money but only have to stay in Portugal, or travel around the world but earn so much less money.
Honestly, that's the choice I have. Let me put it this way. I'm at a point in my career where I could choose to stay here and grow
Yeah.
what I have here, and sort of maybe grow to have a good career.
Yeah.
Like, I've got projects that do well. I know the people, but I think I would not just be as happy.
No.
So I don't think, and also because of the nature of the Portuguese scene, I think I would find it to be like a little like a jail almost. I wouldn't feel like I would be able to progress, to fill my potential as much as I feel like I can do so abroad. I can stretch my legs much more.
Yeah.
And I can grow as a comedian and really feel like, okay, like I'm going up against some very funny people,
Yeah.
you know, and I can really grow in that way. So right now my choice is to earn less and go abroad and do that path, but who knows what the future brings, right? So right now things are going okay abroad, but who knows, maybe one day I'll be like, I'm tired of traveling, I want to live by the beach. And can I add a question and then answer it?
Yes.
What I would like for this scene, one thing that would make me very, very happy is I would love it if it got to a point in the next few years where there would be an English-speaking comedy club.
Like a
Full
English comedy club.
It wouldn't have to be full English, but like, say for example, you could have like one French night,
Yeah.
one Spanish night, or whatever. But
Italian,
it would be
yeah.
a sort of international comedy club where most of the nights are in English, and I'd love it for it to become a scene where people are like, Lisbon, man, you gotta go, because there are certain places where people's like, you gotta play this room,
Yeah.
you gotta go to this room. This room's amazing. It would be nice if Lisbon ended up becoming one of those.
I agree. Thank you for asking yourself that question.
No problem.
It's really cool. Thank you for being on my whatever this is, web series,
Sure.
podcasting. And I hope that you'll come back one day in this series.
Thank you very much. I'll be happy to.
Yes.
And good on you for starting it and trying to help the community in whatever way. Everybody does their part.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think the thing I love most about Portugal is the racism here. Because it's so honest. I love how honest it is. I slept with a girl in Portugal, Beta. I slept with a girl. After we slept together, she said, I can go home and tell this to my parents. And I was like, why would you go home and tell this to your parents? But then, what are you talking about? She said, no, they're really racist. They think that all colored people are bad people, that they want to rape me, and that they want to sell me to slavery. I can't go home. And I was like, you're not going home.